Hello, everybody. You know Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong will go wrong given enough time. So today I'm going to talk about unlocking AI agents on the Flow blockchain. A little bit about me. My name is Serag, and I am a DevRel lead at the Flow Foundation. The goal of my presentation today is to leave everyone sitting here or watching this with one sentence on their mind. I want everyone to go WTF by the end of this. To get there, we have 4 pit stops. We'll go over what Flow is, AI agents, why Flow is the best place to build one now, and how you can go about doing it. Let's start at the very beginning. With the age of the internet came a new craze that raged across the entire world. Every Tom, Dick, Harry, and consultant talked about digital transformation. It was the buzzword for over a decade. Some older consultants are still using it to this day, if you will believe it or not. Now, what do you think was the most exciting thing about digital transformation? Why was everyone so freaking excited about it? You guys could shout it out. I'm going to start calling people out. I know you guys are trying to co-work during this as well. You gentlemen in the glasses, what is epic about digital transformation? All right, I'll give this one to you. The 2 biggest things was that it unlocked scalability and efficiency in a very unparalleled way. All of a sudden, you could create digital goods or services that would instantaneously be available anywhere in the world, from China to Japan, Prague to Vancouver. For all of human history, our work had been essentially dragged down by the amount of inputs you put in directly lead to Y number of outputs that go out. You know, if you cut wood for 10 minutes, you would get X number of logs that you could possibly give out. All of a sudden, with this new digital transformation age, if you put in hours of digitizing your processes, you would have a scaled impact through your entire organization. All of a sudden, if you invested in creating digital goods and services, billions of people could use them. And this was very different than any other types of good or services before. All of a sudden, to create 100, 1,000 new digital products, it didn't cost you anything more, and it didn't detract from, the original in any way, shape, or form. With this new era, there were a lot of problems. There were ethical issues of piracy, ideas of sharing and ownership became broken. Oh, if I own this digital asset and I could copy it 1,000,000 times, why can't I give it to all my friends, right? And at its core, it's an axiomatic principle of economics that when there's infinite supply, the value goes to nothing, right? If anyone could take as much as they want, it doesn't really have any inherent value. So that created core questions and ethical issues with how we look at goods, services, and value. What's more, there were inefficient intermediaries like certain banks that essentially used digital transformation to scale inefficiencies that they had. It was a world where incentives were misaligned. And in the beginning, Web3 kind of came about as a new ethos, a new cultural movement to solve problems in human coordination and remove those inefficient intermediaries. But there were still problems in that all the focus was essentially on how do we remove banks? How do we make financial transactions more efficient? Bitcoin could be a new form of currency. We weren't really thinking beyond the currency or money level until one day, everything changed. Can anyone guess what that was? That one change that changed the entire industry? It was these guys. CryptoKitties was one of the first applications in Web3 that essentially gamified NFTs and brought in thousands and thousands of everyday people that weren't passionately into that ethos, wanted to remove the banks, or F you to the financial institutions of the day that were taking away your ownership of money. And it was started at a hackathon just like this. Half the people that are on their laptops right now might be the people creating the next CryptoKitties. Why it's so important. All the conversations that we see even to this day about L2s, about app chains, started because 10,000 CryptoKitties started getting breeded. It 5x'd the gas fees on Ethereum, and it led to essentially usage of 25% of the entire network's usage, right? People were going crazy. They were like, you broke Ethereum, what are you doing? Like, why are you putting images of cats and you're breeding them and now they're exponentially blowing up? No one assumed anything like that would happen, right? So it really showed that there was a problem with scalability in Web3, and that's where the team behind CryptoKitties got together. They read several hundred of the top white papers at the time, and they came up with a new layer 1 blockchain called Flow. The whole idea of Flow was to be built by app builders for app builders to solve some of the core user experience challenges that we all face. And it's used today by Disney, by NBA Top Shot, by thousands of different companies and indie builders to essentially solve problems for everyday people. It is the consumer chain. One super unique thing about Flow is its its unique multi-role node architecture that essentially works like a Ford assembly line. In other chains, you'll have like a node doing all the work. Like all the nodes are doing all the work of putting your car together, getting the wheels, getting the tires, getting the chassis in place. In Flow, you have multiple hyper-specialized node types that focus on doing one thing and doing one thing very, very well. What this essentially unlocked is horizontal scalability without sharding. Just to put that in more concrete terms, one of the first applications that was launched on the Flow network was NBA Top Shot, digital collectibles for these NBA video clips. On some days, it would get more traffic than the entire Ethereum network, and it didn't affect gas price at all. It didn't affect the network at all. It proved that individual applications were able to scale beyond the entire level of entire networks, right? And that there was a future forward for Web3. And at its core, the way that this relates to AI agents is if you need a scalable you do need a scalable network if you want to build the next generation of agents that will handle workloads for billions of people. All right, so what are AI agents? What is this new future of work? And is it now, or is it actually the future of the future? AI agents are essentially about to change everything. We've seen an explosion of interest since December last year with Eliza being created by AI16Z and Shaw over there, to billion-dollar AI coins, and even like Google writing white papers about them, dozens of no-code AI agent launchers and different platforms, right? The world before AI agents was essentially, and this is a meme that was created by Glyph, which is an AI as well. The world was essentially, you had people that would work a finite number of hours every day. They had to sleep. They could focus on one task at a time. They were pretty expensive, but all of a sudden now you had the promise of having something that could work 24/7, 365 days in a year. And it interprets criticism as constructive, instructions on how to improve. It doesn't get defensive. It only needs electricity and like server space and LLM credits. It doesn't take any washroom breaks. All of a sudden, it can do things all the time and at a massive scale, right? And really what it's solving is the problem of work not scaling. So if we break down AI agents, what are they and why do they matter? AI agents are autonomous entities that can offer services, they can give advice, or even do tasks. They aren't just reactive, but they're proactive as well. They can continuously learn and adapt, being available and alert literally all the time. One of the most exciting things happening in the Web3 space right now are AI agents, and they are set to disrupt entire industries from healthcare and medicine to finance. There are 4 core components of an AI agent, and I'm going to anthropomorphize a little bit here. They have a brain, which is the LLM model that you connect to it. This could be OpenAI, which powers ChatGPT, or Anthropic, or DeepSeek. You just get the API and the token and just plug it into it. Its personality could also be shaped similar to a baby. You could, if you're using Eliza, you could specify, if you're asked these questions, this is how you should respond. This is the way you should communicate, your communication style. Talk in like a southern accent when people refer to you. Be more artistic, be more random, or be very, very, very strict and straightforward. They have a mouth and ears that they can use to communicate to people. This takes place by connecting APIs of common social applications like Twitter, Telegram, WhatsApp, etc. They have hands, which mean they can do things outside of the chat box. With ChatGPT for the last year, literally for the 20 minutes that you go into it and ask it a question, that's the only time it's actually doing something for you. It's like a genie, you ask it a question, it's not going beyond and actually working when you're sleeping or doing anything proactively. Those hands could maybe make it connect to the Google API, look at your calendar, schedule appointments for you, look into your health benefits, maximize those for you. Like the opportunities are endless there. And lastly, they have a wallet, meaning that they can send, receive, invest, and manage funds for you. Here you can see a bit more about how everything interacts together, with the AI agent being the nexus between the apps, the LLMs, and the blockchain. So, why is Flow the best place to build AI agents? I'll start off with the unique transaction model on Flow. So, unlike other chains, Flow has essentially a 3-role transaction model where you could specify at the transaction level who the proposer is, who the payer is, and who the authorizers are, right? So this means you don't need a complicated paymaster contract if you want to sponsor transactions or create gasless experiences. You could literally specify the app is the one who is paying for the transactions that the user is doing. You could also say that the app, if they're playing a video game, maybe every single action they do is a transaction. You don't want an approval to pop up every second for the user. That's bad UX. So you could also specify like, hey, the app's going to manage the transactions. The app's also going to manage the approvals and gas, and the users are just going to be the proposers for them, right? And we have protocol level account abstraction, so you could have a wallet behind the scenes that the application is managing. And I'll get into a couple cool things along those lines in a bit. In addition to that core functionality of transactions, Flow allows for scripted transactions with customizable pre- and post conditions, as well as bundled transactions, which essentially allow for things like atomic swaps. Like imagine you're interacting with an AI agent in a video game like World of Warcraft and you're trying to trade with it. If it has 10 assets of NFTs and you have 5 assets of gems, instead of having a transaction for trading each of those assets, it could atomically swap all of them together in a single transaction. There's also the possibility to do multi-sig transactions. Imagine if you're in a group with a bunch of friends and you want an AI agent to propose new meme coins to trade, and you want everyone to vote on or sign like, hey, yeah, let's put money that we pooled together in to purchase that. It's very easy to do with the multi-sig model. Flow also has a very unique account management system. And this is probably the most exciting part of what Flow offers these AI agents. Part of this account management platform is something we like to call account linking, which you could kind of think of as Google Drive folders for your accounts and addresses. So essentially, an application can create sub-accounts where you can have access to that wallet, and the agent, or maybe 3 people could have access to it. This is actually really, really, really interesting for a bunch of different reasons, right? One of the reasons is what happens when the LLM credits run out or your agent dies. In most other chains, the agent's managing the keys and the wallet directly, right? If it dies, everything it's managing essentially disappears. With Flow, you could use account linking so that even if an agent dies, a user who links their non-custodial account to the account that the agent is managing could always pull and withdraw the funds at any time. So it adds a whole level of security that no one else really, really has. I just got assigned for 2 minutes. So I'm going to try to speed through this. In addition to that, we have something called capabilities, which is almost like AWS IAM, super granular access permissioning control. So you could really specify that the agent only has access to this type of asset or could only access assets for this amount of time. This is super useful for security. There was a story of one agent that essentially went online that had one invariant. It was told you're never allowed to send anyone any money ever. And then all of a sudden, it was also told, like, hey, people could interact with you, but they have to send you money before you interact back. And then all of a sudden, people started spamming, like one person sent $1 and then another $1, and people were trying to talk to it. All of a sudden, the agent was managing $10, $50, $100, $1,000, $20,000, $50,000. The more people that interacted with the agent, the more money it was managing, the more it created a honeypot where people were incentivized to try to trick the agent into giving them the money, of course, right? Around the 50,000 mark, someone came up with a very creative prompt to essentially trick the agent into sending them all the money, and they got it. With capabilities, you could prevent these types of things from happening. So what does the future look like? Essentially, experts in the industry say that we're going down 3 main paths. We're going to evolve from standalone tools into collaborative networks of AI agents that work together. We're going to have marketplaces for consumer-centric agents that do tasks or jobs for you, like super affordable, always working virtual assistants or employees. And essentially, we're going to have to focus a lot more in more powerful safeguards and security as these AI agents take on more important tasks. To end, if there's 3 main takeaways I want everyone to have, it's number 1, we need ways to create scalable workers, and Flow offers that. Number 2, Flow offers adaptive intelligence to these agents. And number 3, full autonomy. I'm going to end with saying, go WTF, go with the flow. Thank you, guys.